We're the Hallmarkies podcast, and we're so excited to be here today. I'm Rachel, and Amber's here.
Hello, everybody.
And today we are talking Chesapeake Shores. The new season is coming, and we have a special guest here to talk it over with us, all the drama of the O'Briens. We're from Twitter, Hallmark My Words, and we're so excited to get her insight into this show. So, Kaycee, why don't you introduce yourself?
Hey, I'm Kaycee. I just kind of started this whole Hallmark fandom a couple years ago, starting with One Calls the Heart, and then I found Chesapeake Shores, and I super love that. So here I am. You can follow me on Hallmark My Words on Twitter.
Great. Well, thanks so much for coming on the podcast, and we're so excited to talk about Chesapeake Shores. New season that is starting on, it's August 5th, right?
Yes.
Yeah, new season that is starting August 5th, and we will be covering it every week like we've done with The Good Witch and with When Calls the Heart, so it should be really fun. And so, Amber, why don't we talk about our sort of overall feelings for these first two seasons of the show? You can listen to our original recap that we did of seasons 1 and 2. I'll put a link down in the description section. But Amber, what are your overall feelings for this show so far?
I think the show does a pretty good job. It sometimes gets into some lame stuff that I don't really care about. Hashtag land trust. But for the most part, I really like it. I think it's probably my favorite of second favorite, because Good Witch is so amazing. But that's just basically my way of saying I like it more than One Calls the Heart. But so I really like the show. I think it's interesting and fun, and I like the characters.
Cool. Kaycee, what do you think of this show so far?
So I loved season 1. I loved it. I loved the dynamics with the family and the drama and just, all the little moving pieces and stuff. Season 2, I liked. I'm hoping season 3 will be a little better than season 2. There are just a lot of things where I was kind of like, nope. Like the land trust and other things we can get into later.
Yeah. So for me, I feel like this show feels like a throwback to the kind of shows that Aaron Spelling would have produced in the 90s. Like things like your 90210, your Seventh Heaven, your, Dynasty, those kinds of shows that were kind of evening soap operas, primetime soap operas that were usually and obviously it has sort of a Hallmark kind of gloss to it, purity to it. But I don't know. I feel like it's kind of in that spirit of type of show that he would have done. And so I enjoy that. I think that's fun. I always liked those kinds of shows. And I think the things I think it's very well cast. I really like all of the actors that they got. And I think that helps a lot in this kind of a show. If you have likable, attractive, engaging actors in this kind of show, then that goes a long way, I think. And so that helps a lot. I think where it loses me is some of what I would call the first world problems, where you have things like Jess getting mad at her dad for wanting to help her with the inn, and get a loan on the inn. Like you have, and then Trace at a certain point is mad at his dad for wanting to co-sponsor his loan. like calm down, people. Like people offering to buy you property is not, or to co-sign on a loan is not an insult. I was very annoyed with Bree that she was irritated at Simon for like basically getting her book published. Like that's insane, and any author would be thrilled to have somebody who could help them, because like in any industry, it's all about who getting the right, getting your book in front of the right people, the right faces. Like it's ridiculous. And so stuff like that was very annoying, I thought, to me. So that would be my problem with the series. I don't know if either of you felt that at all.
I mean, if somebody gave me money, if my dad was like, hey, I'm going to co-sign, I'd be like, heck yes, please do.
Like neither of them have ever run a business before. So it's not like a bank is going to be like, yes, we want to sponsor your highly risky ventures.
Yeah, I mean, they're gonna have to have a cosigner.
Yeah.
I mean, in real life too. So,
or at least like an investor.
Right.
yeah.
And,
But whatever. Those kinds of things don't bother me too much when they don't dwell on it, and I don't feel like they dwelt on those issues that much in the show. I mean, I feel like it was obviously a conflict, but I feel like it was resolved pretty quickly. I was thinking about this as we were preparing, that the show, more than any other show, kind of reminds me of like what Seventh Heaven could have been if it had lasted like 12 more seasons, where all the kids are grown up, and just the dynamic of the children. And as someone who loves Seventh Heaven, that's fine for me.
Right. Well, that sounds really, I agree with you. I think it definitely has that sort of flavor of like Party of Five, Seventh Heaven, that kind of a feel to it. So I agree with you. And so let's just dive in. So the original premise of the show was about this family that is brought together from all the different locations because of this grandma is sick and they need help her. And they were like a split family because of the mother had left the family to left her husband, left the family to pursue a career in New York City. And so there's all these like hurt feelings, wounded feelings, but they've all decided to move back and try to make things right again. And what do you think of this premise for a show, Amber?
I really enjoy it. I think it's an interesting situation that you wouldn't really see a lot of people in. In a way, it kind of reminds me of Survivor, in just seeing all these people who have had different experiences come together and try to like figure out how they can relate and socialize. Obviously, Survivor, it's like complete strangers in like an obscenely strange situation. But whereas this show, it's, a family who has a shared past coming together from their slightly different experiences and trying to figure out how they can relate and work together in their lives now. But I really enjoy that. And I think the show really shines the most when they explore, the nature of family and the relationships of siblings, and even with Mick and Megan trying to figure out how they can, coexist as like an old divorced couple.
Yeah.
So I think it's interesting there.
When there's a lot of hurt feelings, I can definitely relate because I mean, when my parents are still together, my siblings and I are incredibly different. And if we all lived in the same city, that would be interesting. It would be challenging. I can kind of imagine because there's how many of them are there? There's 5. 5. So there's 6 in my family. So we got one more to add to the drama. But it would be interesting. So I can see. What do you think about this overall premise of this family all kind of gathering back together after they've been sort of divided, Kaycee?
It's kind of nice because you see so many broken families and broken homes and, broken relationships. So just seeing that dynamic play out, even though, there are siblings that have issues with their mom or each other or their dad or whatever. It's just nice to see that, you can always come home. And I really appreciate that, that story, that theme, I guess. I mean, it is the theme song of the show, but it's nice to, as adults, we can always come home.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, all right, let's dive into the characters. And we figured if we talk about the characters, we'll kind of cover most of the points of the first 2 seasons. So we start with the dad. We have Mick, the dad, played by Treat Williams. And so he hasn't had a ton of story. His main role is to be sort of the confidant and to be the sage kind of character for the various siblings, I think. He hasn't had like a love interest, which is interesting, I feel like. And his main plot, I guess, has been this land trust with his brother, his brother's an environmental lawyer, and his brother wants to do certain things with the land, and Mick wants to develop the land so it'll make more money. And yeah, so Amber, what do you think about Treat Williams as Mick?
I feel like Treat Williams as Mick does a great job. I'm just going to start there. I feel like, however, Mick has no storyline of his own because the land trust is the most boring and frustrating thing to me. And I really hope so much that they drop it in season 3. I would love for him to do literally anything else. Like if Trace goes off and does his country star gig, which we'll talk about later, Mick owns part of he invested in the club, right?
Yeah, he did.
So it would be fun watching him be like a club owner, navigating that by himself.
That'd be good. I'd watch. Yeah, that'd be good. What about you, Kaycee? What do you think of Treat Williams as Mick?
I think he's like the perfect like person to play Mick as like the really strict dad, workaholic, turned grandfather, kind of coming to be a little soft and all that stuff. Like Amber said, yeah, there was no storyline with him. I mean, trying to think back to season 1 too, like he really didn't have a storyline except being the dad, and then the whole land trust thing, which I was super confused about, by the way. I can't with that. But yeah, I think he definitely needs a storyline. Whether it's I thought he and Megan were gonna kind of start something up again.
Yeah, and they seem to move away from that. But
But I'm kind of glad they didn't go right there, because it's like, oh, mom comes back. Oh, they're going to fall in love and get like, I feel like that just needs to, that can drag out a little bit.
Yeah.
We need to just drop the land trust thing. But I would like to see him in some kind of relationship. I think that would make an interesting dynamic for his kids.
Yeah, I think actually it would be listen to this plan. He starts dating someone and Megan doesn't like it.
Yes.
That would be fun.
That would be really fun. Yeah.
Plus it would give him something to do aside from the land trust.
Yeah, we just want him away from the land trust because I think they were trying to have this sort of divide between him and his brother, different philosophies, and also then the polling between his mom. We'll talk about next, and we will talk about it in a couple things. And it just didn't work. It was just boring, and it was kind of confusing about what exactly was the conflict, like what was the problem here.
Yeah.
And why couldn't they find some kind of compromise? I don't know. But anyway, there were all kinds of very tense civic meetings about the land trust. Okay, but I do love Treat Williams. I think he is really good in here as just sort of this sage kind of guy to give people a pat on the back and kind of reassure them. So then we have Megan, played by Barbara Niven. And so she is an interesting character because she, left a family, which is interesting, I feel like, particularly for Hallmark, to have a female character that would do something so non-maternal, or seemingly non-maternal. And basically, I feel like her role, especially in the first season, was like she was the person that everyone has to learn to forgive. Mm-hmm. And I think for the most part, everybody's there except for Jess. I think Jess is the only one. I feel like Connor's pretty cool with her. I feel like Kevin's cool. Bree, she's ended up working in Bree's store and her bookstore. And Abby's fine, it seems like, with her mom. So I think Jess is the one left with still that baggage. And so we just need to see what happens there. But the only thing that I wish we got a little bit more thing is I don't really understand if everybody kind of hated her so much, like what exactly her motivation of moving home was, to try to repair things or just to, I don't know, feels a little random to me.
I don't know that everyone hated her. I mean, I don't feel like Abby or Kevin really had bad feelings towards her. And Connor is the one we see like hanging out with her in New York. So, I mean, if anything, there was probably just problems with Bree and Jess, like still resenting her. But I feel like for the most part, it's always been mostly just Jess.
Yeah. But there was, I swear there was one episode with her and Connor that was heated, and then he kind of got over it. Maybe I'm remembering wrong, but.
Well, I mean, they would still have, complicated feelings, but I don't think they're like, oh, don't ever talk to me. You're not even my mom, which is kind of how Jess is.
Right. That's fair.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Yeah, I feel like Connor's like a hothead anyways. Like he, gets mad at his dad, he gets mad at his siblings, gets mad at but he's just like, that's just his personality. I don't think he was I think he was a little annoyed, maybe hurt with his mom, but I think he kind of got over it. Whereas Jess was definitely like, super resentful. And I think Bree still has a little bit of unresolved feelings towards her mom, but she's super, I don't know, brush everything under the table kind of girl.
Yeah.
I feel like, and I feel like they just need to open that up and resolve, like she just needs to have that conversation. And I feel like there were a couple times where it started, but then it just, something got interrupted or whatever. But I think Kevin and Abby were the only ones that were actually cool with their mom since the divorce.
Mm-hmm.
So.
And it makes sense, I guess, because they're the two older ones.
Right.
And Jess is one of the younger ones. Jess and Connor were younger. So it kind of makes some sense. And I think that it helps a lot that you have Barbara Niven as this character, because she's just so likable and so sweet that it helps make the character likable despite having left her family. Like, I don't know, you're just sort of naturally pulling for her.
Yeah, and frankly, I mean, that happened before we knew them, so it's kind of like, he said, she said. Like, we don't know. Like, I honestly, I mean, obviously I care about how it informs the character's pasts, but I don't care about it going forward.
Mm-hmm. But I think it helps having her as such a likable actress.
No, for sure. But if we had seen her leaving them, that would be much more impactful than them just telling us that she had left.
That's true. That's true. What do you see going forward with Megan and Megan's character?
I mean, I don't know what. I mean, her storylines have basically been, I'm now moving into my house, and now I need to find a job. Check. So she could go in any direction if she does any sort of thing outside of the kids. It could be in any way.
Do you think they'll give her a romance this season?
Ooh. I kind of see them giving Mick a romance before they give her one.
Yeah, probably.
But you never know.
Yeah. So, okay. So then we have Nell, who is played by Diane Ladd. She's the grandma figure of the show. And I forgot one storyline that I do not care about at all is the Dylan O'Malley lost love in Ireland storyline.
I do not understand where the storyline is going. And frankly, it fascinates me because I have no idea. Like, if they said, oh my gosh, Dylan O'Malley was a leprechaun the whole time, I would be like, wow, they went there. Like, I don't even know. Like, this is the most bizarre storyline to give a character I've ever, like, obviously having a lost love is fine, but like, she like almost died like 20 minutes ago. How is she going to manage to go to Ireland and come back and be healthy and like start a romance without one of them dying or being dead? I don't know. It's fine. Like, old people can find love. It's okay. It's just, I don't understand.
Maybe they'll find him on like the Irish version of Tinder or something. I don't know. Like, what's going on?
And the weird thing with that was like, they hinted at it in season 1, and then she announces it, and then she leaves, and then she comes back in season 2. Nope, no word. It's like, grandma's back. Woohoo.
Yeah. Well, I want them to pay off on this, but not a lot. Just enough to be like, oh yeah, Dylan O'Malley died. That was a mistake, huh? Or like something. Like, I just need to. What was the point? Why did we waste this much time on it?
Yeah,
Grandma.
I guess. I just didn't care about it really are.
I mean, wouldn't it be weird if your grandma went across like the pond and was like, "Oh, I had another lover," or, you know?
Like, frankly, it would be weird if she went across the street, like, let alone travel all the way to frickin' Ireland.
It reminds me of I swear there were half a dozen or so episodes of the Golden Girls where Sophia, there was some lost love in
Her
Sicily.
love from Italy, yes.
And I don't know, that's never my favorite. So maybe I don't know. But we'll see what happens with good old Dylan and with Hermine. I think really her main role is just to be the sage counsel wisdom grandma character, and she does that very good. Diane Ladd is good. I wish that her accent was a little bit better, but that's all that I have to say. She's good. And okay, so let's get into the kids. Diving into the kids. So we have Abby, played by Megan Ory, and she is, I guess, kind of the lead, would you say, of the show, and the lead of the show. And she has 2 kids. She is divorced. In the first season, we saw her go through a custody battle with her ex, who had like a solid ground for complaining because she broken the rules of the custody, like by going to Chesapeake shores. And so there was that whole drama, and that all got resolved. And of course, she had been in love with Trace and then had left to go to the big city, as all Hallmark girls do. And and they start their sort of relationship up again. And her 2 kids, super cute. I don't know. What do you think about Abby, Amber?
I really do like Abby. I think it's fun that she is like a very successful woman. Like, we don't often get to see that without any judgment on the show. Yeah. And they don't seem to present her, working hard and providing for her kids and being successful at her job in any sort of like negative light, which is really great. And I think she is a good mom to her kids. Mm-hmm. And I think she has terrible taste in high school boyfriends.
What do you think, Kaycee, about Abby?
I like her character. She's pretty empowering, like you said, like, being a working mom, super admirable. And she's like top dog, VP finance, smart woman. I'm just like, whoa. But I liked her. I didn't mind her relationship with Trace in season 1. Mm-hmm. I didn't mind it. I thought it was kind of cute, adorable, the whole, we're rekindling typical Hallmark, Season 2, I was Trace, he just frustrates me, but
okay.
I kind of hope she gets with
Victor Webster so much.
Hey, Dad.
Me too, so much. That is just my fondest wish. I mean, it's not going to happen because Hallmark won't let me, but that is just what I hope for.
I just feel like they had so much more chemistry in like the really 30-second clips that we saw of like PTA Dad and Abby, and then Abby and Trace was like, he's like a frat boy.
Yeah, like Trace is like, oh, you should grow up. And Victor Webster is like, I'm a man. And I'm like, yeah, you are. Yeah, you are, Victor Webster. Yeah. Absolutely.
Victor Webster is pretty great. Yeah. And Megan Ory is just gorgeous.
Yeah, well, obviously.
She's just stunning. They did a very beautiful cast, but they're all beautiful. She's just stunning. And they did get 2 really cute kids to play her kids. They did a good job, 2 sisters. And so, yeah, it's kind of hard. Let's talk about Trace, and then we'll talk about where we think they're going. It's kind of hard to talk about where Abby's going without talking about Trace. So, okay. So we have Trace, played by Jesse Metcalfe, and he's a musician. He's had this drama with his band because he fell asleep while driving them or something, and he almost killed people. There's all this drama. He doesn't want to travel with the band because he doesn't want to repeat the mistakes that he made. There's this singer who is a songwriter who is, they kind of have a relationship, but they didn't really, I don't know, there's some whatever. And with that, but Trace, there's this, I think it's season 2, with the head of the label, where he really, like, the label wants to make him a solo singer, and he fights to make them the whole band. Anyway, all this drama. And at the end of the second season, did they officially break up, or did they just, do you remember?
They didn't break up.
They didn't break up.
He was like, they want me to go on tour, and she's like, well, you shouldn't all wait here forever. That's my understanding. Kaycee,
yeah,
tie break.
It was like a Ross and Rachel. Were they on the break? I just watched that because I couldn't remember if they actually broke up or if they were taking a break. I think it was more, I don't think they broke up.
Because I was thinking,
I will wait for you forever. We're going to be apart.
I was thinking that she said that at first, and then she was like, oh, this is not, like, this is not going to work. I'm holding you back. And I got to, like, let you go kind of thing. And he was like, no, or something. I thought there was something like that, but
I think she was like, I have to physically let you go. Don't worry, I'll still be here. You can leave.
Okay.
And he was like, perfect. But I don't know if he was actually going. Anyway, I want him to go be successful on his band. And I want them to break up and for her to date Victor Webster. The end.
So I like Jesse Metcalfe. I think he's super charming. I think he has sort of he has sort of a Matthew McConaughey vibe to me. I think that he's handsome. I think he is charming. And I think they actually do have good chemistry. I disagree with you guys. And I don't hate his character like you guys do. I think he's fine. There's definitely some melodrama with the whole thing with him being mad at his dad. That whole drama was really dumb.
Well, his dad's there. That's over.
And, so there are definitely moments where I was like, ugh. But for the most part, I think he's fine. I like him just fine. And I like Jesse Metcalfe, and I think he's very handsome.
I just think Trace is selfish, and I hate him.
Uh-huh. What do you think, Kaycee?
I wouldn't go that far. I like the drama. We wouldn't have a story if we didn't have any drama. I just feel like he just needs to make up his mind. I'm trying to think back to season 2. It just felt like he was, yeah, I'm 110% committed to this relationship, but then I'm also with the band, and like, it's Abby and then the band, and then Abby's kids and the band. It just, going back and forth, and and then the whole him and Lee, is that her name? That thing right there. When the producer told him, you are better solo, and like, he, I get they have to make him noble, and he has to be all like, I'm gonna do the right thing, but I mean, hey, props, but that would be a good way to get away from her. Just to, you can go away now.
Yeah. It was hard to believe. It's true. I agree with you, but I the whole, like, should he pick Megan or go on tour is ridiculous. Like, he's a musician. Like, musicians go on tour. Like, that's like, it's
but Megan they're not married, they're not engaged, they're just dating, and she has 2 kids. Like, she doesn't need to bring that drama and instability into the life of her kids.
Why not? I mean, it's not really unstable. It's just a person going on tour. Like, I just feel like any career, when you're in, I don't know, how old do you think these people are supposed to be? Like,
I think mid-30s.
You think that old?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, whenever you're starting out a career, like, whether it's you're going to be a doctor and you're in you're in at work 60, 70, 80 hours a week, every week. Like, that's just the way it is. Like, whether you're a lawyer and your first like 3-5 years, it's brutal. Whether you're like, whatever you're doing when you're first starting, like as a couple, you just have to realize, okay, like, this is it. We want you to be successful. And so we have to make it work. And so the idea that, like, I don't know, you couldn't come to some kind of compromise between this is kind of silly to me. You just, as adults, you sit and you say, okay, how long's the tour? Are you going to call every night? What are we going to do? Like, it's not it shouldn't be one or the other. Like, I don't know. I think that's ridiculous. Like, musicians have relationships all the time, and I don't know.
Yeah. I think they also had a lack of communication. I think that was the biggest problem I had with them as a couple in season 2, was it just felt that, you know, Trace was getting, you know, really excited about his music stuff, which is fine. You know, he's getting successful. That's great. That's what he's, you know, worked towards. But then Abby would sit there and be like, oh, okay. Like, you know, it was just, I feel like they didn't have that communication like they did in season 1, and they were just losing that. And I don't know if it's because Abby was, you know, working a lot, because I know they, you know, she got like that big promotion, and then she was, you know, having that mom guilt with not spending time with her kids, and then she has a relationship with Trace, and I don't know, I feel like there are a lot of issues with their relationship.
Yeah. I mean, no doubt about that. What do you think, Kaycee, will happen with, not what you want to happen, but what do you think will happen between Megan and Trace?
Ooh, why did I say
Megan and Trace? Between Abby and Trace, sorry.
I knew what you meant. Abby and Trace. I think they're gonna go through some more rocky road. So I can see them really struggling in their relationship, just with, you know, they're in different parts of their lives. Like, yes, they grew up together, they had a relationship, they rekindled the relationship, but, you know, when you're a mom of 2 girls and you're working, and then you have, you know, he is, you know, with the band, he was getting all, you know, buddy, you know, bromance with his band, and they're going 2 different ways. I can see that like that's a lot of adjustment and a lot of compromise and a lot of logistics, and I can see them really struggling and how to make it all work together.
Yeah. Amber, what do you think?
Oh, what do I think will happen? They'll make it work, and it will be lame drama, but they're like, oh my gosh, they're meant to be together, so they'll be together.
Yeah, I think there'll probably be something like that. They'll come up with some kind of compromise. I bet there will be some kind of, oh, you think you're with this other person, but you're not really. Miscommunication in that regard in some way.
Yeah, and like they'll have this big miscommunication, and then Trace will be like, no way, let's get married. And she'll be like, perfect, this solves everything. And I'll be like, this does not solve any of your problems. But everyone on Twitter will be like, this is so romantic. This is the most beautiful love story I've ever seen. And I'm like, this is not healthy, and they're not communicating. They're just putting a marriage Band-Aid over it.
Yeah, I could see that.
I think it's going to be a Ross and Rachel. They're going to just drag it out for 10 seasons.
Yeah, I could see that as well.
I mean, how boring would that be, though? Like, okay, yes, season 3, season 4, we're having a wedding. Unless
look what they did with When Calls the Heart. I mean, hopefully 5 seasons. I mean, like, at least just to be sure we got a couple of kisses. I mean, good grief. So yeah, I'm not expecting an actual marriage this season, that's for sure. So all right, let's move on. So we have Bree, played by Amelia Ullerup, and she is the playwright who got writer's block and is struggling, but then she ends up buying this bookstore. And so that was most of season 2, and then she gets in this romance with this author this YA author that she was willing to criticize his books. That made him fall in love with her or whatever, and named Simon. And that was where we got to me, was very annoying plot of him selling her book, and she was very upset with him for doing that, which is completely absurd and ridiculous. And but I like Brie pretty good. I mean, I think Amelia is a charming and stunning actress, and she is the one that I think looks the least like the group. She sort of think, I mean, I guess she does look quite a bit like Barbara Niven, so maybe it's believable, but I don't know. She's the one that's the most likely to be the milkman's baby out of all of the O'Briens. Yeah, I mean, I'd be interested to see what happens with her. I feel like she's the one that's the most sort of open of what could happen of all of them. Yeah, so what do you think of Brie, Amber?
I really like Brie. I think she doesn't quite know what she's doing with her life. I mean, I know she's got the bookstore and whatever, but I don't think she's like confident in any of her choices, and she's just needs to find that bit of herself, I think. The storyline where she's going to get published, it's going to go forward, and she'll probably be like super successful, and it'll be like the most amazing book of all time. But I'm excited to see what she's going to do. I hope she gets different romance than Simon. I wasn't that into Simon.
Mm-hmm. What do you think that we'll see Simon again or no?
I kind of think no.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I kind of think so too. What do you think, Kaycee?
Oh, I think we'll see Simon. I didn't dig their relationship as much. I mean, there were moments where they were cute together, and I was like, oh, okay, but I don't know. It wasn't the wow factor for me, like with their relationship. Like, I thought that her and David had a little more zing than her and Simon. But
to be fair, Carlo Marx has so much zing.
Everybody. Yeah.
So the book thing, so I could understand why she would be upset about the book thing because she's not confident. So she's already been shut down by her ex-boyfriend. She's in the relationship, in the script that she was writing. So if her confidence level is super low, and then she gave him the manuscript in she like that's like her building her confidence, trust, whatever, in him, and then he's sending it off to be published, and she's not ready for that. I mean, I feel like I wouldn't be like angry. I don't know that she was angry. I feel like she was more that upset, shocked, but mm-hmm. I'm gonna get over this maybe. Then
yeah, she practically broke up with him over it. I guess for me, because my sister is a published author and I saw what she went through, and it just was like ridiculous to me. Like any author would be excited about their book getting published. I mean, it just felt ridiculous to me. But I guess I have to just suspend my disbelief for this kind of show. And but anyway, I see your point. What do you think we'll see happening with Brie this season, Kaycee?
Ooh, I feel like I think Brie is she's gonna have some kind of crazy choice to make, because her storylines are always the most broad. I don't know. I just don't know what's gonna happen with her. Like, I feel like she's gonna have some crazy choice to make. Like, go on book tour with Simon, and maybe she's not. Just, I don't know. She keeps on in her relationship with him. I don't know. Yeah. Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see. I wouldn't be surprised if we don't ever see Simon again. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see. Talk about Kevin, played by Brendan Penny, and he started out as medic in the Army. He has this injury in season 1, and he was engaged briefly, and then he has some PTSD sort of things, but he ends up falling for a firefighter, who was played by Jessica Sipos, who was in Signed, Sealed, Delivered to the Altar. Realized that, today. And she is like really, this firefighter is a widow, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
And she is really resistant to any kind of relationship. And yeah, I mean, Brendan Penny has star power. Woo! And I love his interactions with Megan Ori. And I think that, so I like Abby and Kevin a lot together. They're really good. I think their scenes, and they're just like eating ice cream or just talking, I think are really good. And I haven't been that big a fan of either of his relationships, to be completely honest. So I hope that they will get somebody new. And I don't know, someone he has a little bit more chemistry with. What do you think, Kaycee, about Kevin?
I love Kevin. I'm like, can you be my brother? Because I don't have a big brother, and you would be the perfect one. He's just, I don't know. I don't want to say nurturing. That's a really weird word, but he's just like the perfect big brother, I feel like, for the O'Brien clan. Relationship wise, Georgia, she just kind of came out of nowhere and then left out of nowhere. It was kind of like a hot minute of Georgia. And Sarah.
Yeah, Sarah.
I think I just felt bad for her because of her story.
Mm-hmm.
I liked that they could relate to each other on that level, but again, it wasn't the wow factor for me.
Yeah. Am I right in remembering that he decided to go to medical school in the end of last season? I think so.
Yeah. So I think he decided to go to medical school, but then didn't he decide to go to like EMT school or something like that?
Maybe it was EMT school.
Yeah, he decided to be an EMT, I think.
Okay.
Instead of a doctor?
Yeah.
I couldn't remember.
Which, like, yay. I don't care what he does as a job. I would have preferred hunky fireman, but whatever. I hope that we don't see Sarah again because she was boring to me. Just nothing against Jessica Sipos, because I thought she does a fine job. It's just Sarah is just like the boringest. I loved Georgia a lot, but I don't know if it was necessarily that I loved Georgia or if I just like really loved Allie Liebert being Georgia. And I don't think we'll ever see Allie Liebert on this show again, so that's just a terrible, terrible time for me. Allie Liebert should be in everything. But like you said, I hope that he gets like a new love interest.
Because I think the problem with Sarah was that it felt like a stretch to believe that you've got this beautiful man, Brendan Penny, and he's being so nice and so wonderful and everything like that. And I don't know, it just seemed hard to believe that she would really like be so resistant and so damaged. I don't know, it just didn't quite, like, come on. To me, at least, I remember feeling that way. But yeah, hopefully he'll get a new relationship, and it should be interesting to see what happens.
Yeah, real quick, back to the Kevin in the schooling thing. It's just weird. So I'm in a military town. It's just weird to me that he didn't go to school while he was in the military before.
Well, he was a medic in the Army, so I don't think it's necessarily that he has to go to like EMT school. It's just he's decided he's going to be like an EMT, and he probably has to go through like their training course, which is just like getting his certification to be an EMT or something.
Yeah. Or his original plan to be a doctor, because like the military will pay for that.
Yeah, well, he was doing that, I think.
Yeah, I don't know. It was just the whole military and schooling thing. I was like, you wanted to be a doctor, but you went into the military probably as an enlisted. Like, my mind went all over that, and I was like, okay, well.
Yeah, I felt like there was some kind of conflict involved with that, but I can't remember what the conflict was. I guess he was just trying to decide what to do. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with that. I mean, he also has his, PTSD that was like lightly touched on in the second season. So interesting if they dive into that at all, or if they'll forget that. So
I hope they dive into that because that's a pretty deep topic. I feel like they can do a lot with that.
Yeah, I feel like it would be very interesting, and I feel like Brendan Penny could pull it off, but my guess, they're not going to talk about it.
Yeah, it could be like Jack in When Calls the Heart. It was brought up for no apparent reason at all. Okay, so we have Jess, played by Lacey Millay, and she is the most bitter about her mom. She bought this inn, and she doesn't want any help at first, at least, in renovating it and renting it out. But everything seems to go pretty well, especially because she has Carlo Marx playing David, who is the chef, and he is great at everything. And we find out at the end of the last season that he's also from like a really rich family. And it kind of irritated me that she seemed kind of huffy at him for like saving her butt when she accidentally bought like all of these books. And he's like, how could you not tell me you were from this rich family? I'm like, oh. And I don't know, I thought that was annoying. And but overall, they have pretty good chemistry, I think, between Karl Marx and her. And I think the inn provides a place for a lot of cute scenes for not only her character, but other characters. And I think it works pretty well. I think she's good. What do you think, Amber, of Jess?
I think Jess is a very interesting character. I really enjoy her relationship with David. I am terrified that they have written David off the show and we will never see him again, because he was the best part of her storyline, and also he was the only reason why her friggin' inn worked, because she can't cook, she can't do anything, and he literally can do everything.
Right.
So I hope that he comes back. That's it.
Kaycee, what do you think?
So the first season, Jess, I was super like, are you kidding me? She just was so super spoiled, and like the whole, angry at her mom thing. And I was like, just talk to your mother. I'm sure she has a great explanation. We're all adults here. But then season 2, she just seemed to grow up, and she just really seemed to, mature a little bit. And I think David was a big part in that. And then I started really liking Jess, and then I really started liking her and David, because at first I was kind of like, are you kidding me? That's the same guy that your sister just had like a 30-second fling with over those books. But I think they're super adorable. And then the whole, oh my goodness, you didn't tell me that you're rich. Like, have you not heard of Google? Do you not know who you're paying? Like, that was a little...
And they're all rich. Like, this is not like...
Well, the best part is she's like, they're like, well, how much do you pay him? And she's like, do I pay him? Like, he's just like hanging out with her because he's like, this is the greatest. Let's do this. He's just like literally a dream person.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that kind of wonder can be sustained past,
2 seasons.
1 season, really.
Yeah.
Please bring Carlo Marx back, you guys.
Yeah. I was just like, you're rich. You have you bought an inn as a young person with very little experience or no experience, and you refurbished it on your own. Like, you're doing very well. So let's talk about, I guess, should we say, do we have any predictions for Jess? I guess you don't see things going well with David, at least, Amber.
I really hope they do, though. I just don't feel it in my bones, because I want it to happen so much, but he's also been in so many other Hallmark projects, like as a small character.
Yeah.
Super sad.
Yeah, it could be interesting. What was that mystery one that he was in? It was in was it the second?
It was a Haley Dean, the
Haley
second
Dean,
Haley
yeah,
Dean.
Haley Dean. What do you think, Kaycee, will happen with Jess?
I hope he comes back. I hope they get together. They're the best relationship there is on that show right now. They're super, super cute. Yeah, I really hope they bring them back, and that they did. I hope they develop their relationship and not just like throw a ring on the finger just because it's Hallmark. But then I also am kind of curious about her whole PTSD thing that they mentioned in season 1. Like she was having a dream that she was drowning or she was in water or something, and then they completely dropped that. I was waiting.
The Citation.
Yes.
That's the name of the ship she was on that we finally, because they were like, oh, you're ever going to tell about the Citation? And I'm like, what's the Citation? And then they finally said it was some ship. And then that's it. I would love if we explored and actually explained the Citation thing.
Yes.
Yeah, I completely forgot about that. Good. That's good. So yeah, I would like to see her grow up a little bit and deal with her mom a little bit more maturely. So we'll see what happens with that. All right. So let's talk about the best one of all. We're talking about Connor, played by Andrew Francis, who is the best. And he'd finished law school, and then he got this corporate job, and as is the right choice when you have a horrible, evil corporate job, he quit in epic fashion, which I was very proud of him for. And then he is basically like figuring out what to do next, and he starts doing some work for his uncle, who is in environmental law. And he had the least, I think, relationship time spent on him. There was this girl that he'd gone to law school with named Danielle, who was in a few episodes, but not much for Connor. But Amber, what do you think of Connor?
I don't like Andrew Francis that much. That is such a lie. We love Andrew Francis. I just wanted Rachel to be mad. Because Rachel loves Andrew Francis. I'm pretty sure she's never wanted to watch Supernatural until today when I said, oh, and Andrew Francis was in an episode of Supernatural, and she thought, maybe I'll give it a try. Tell me, is that true?
It's a true story.
It's a true story.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I really love Andrew Francis, and I think he carries off his, I feel, pretty lame storyline quite well. Rachel loves people's jobs. I don't care what people do for a living. I'm just like, this is just the side stuff until you can date someone, unless you're like Jim and Pam and you fall in love with The Office. That was an Office reference to the movie the show The Office. Okay. So I hope he gets a little bit more of a love interest in this season. But if not, like Andrew Francis just bopping around with his hair and his face, I'm happy.
Yeah. I guess what I like people's jobs is because it's where we spend the majority of our day. And so I think it's really interesting, like what motivates us and why we do what we do. And I don't know, I guess maybe because I haven't had like a ton of relationships in my life, like work has been a very important thing and something that was a huge moment of my life when I quit my job. And when I was 27, that was a huge moment of my life. And so I really relate to those storylines, and I really like that topic to be explored. So I don't know, Kaycee, what do you think about Connor?
I think he is the most relatable.
Right? See?
Yes.
Agreed.
Like, he suffered through school, suffered through law school, then had this moment of, oh my goodness, I don't know, am I going to pass the bar? If I don't pass the bar, then I can't be a lawyer, and then I have to retake the bar 6 months from now. And then, he passes the bar, then what am I going to do? Am I going to get hired? Like, I feel like that's so relatable. Because, I feel like a lot of us have all been there where we just don't know the next step. And he's not super, he's super human too. Like, everybody else is just bopping around super happy and like angry at their parents or, you know, book deals and all that stuff, where, you know, he's just human. He just gets mad because he's a human person. You know, I just feel like he's the most relatable of all the O'Brien siblings. The whole him working for his uncle thing, though, I think it's because it's the land trust thing. That kind of threw me a little. I was kind of like, okay, where is this going? Are we going to have a father-son conflict? No? Okay. It was just,
yeah, like Treat Williams is just like, you're working for your uncle? That's fine. That's a good job.
I know. I always think of whenever it says environmental law, I always think of Clueless. Josh says, I was thinking about environmental law. He says, the dad says, "What do you want to have a miserable life?" And Josh will have that regardless of what he does. So anyway, random aside, but yeah, I think that was trying to be some kind of drama, that he's like on the uncle's side with the
But then they took the winds out of that sails by having Treat Williams not care.
Right. All right, exactly.
They were like, good job.
Yeah.
Literally.
Yeah, and I think we got to see a relationship from him this season, I think, right?
You would imagine that would happen, but I don't know. I don't know about that girl who was his love interest / whatever. I don't know.
his study buddy.
Yes,
Yeah,
his
like
study
I didn't
buddy.
even realize that she was the love interest, to be completely frank, until I think we did the podcast and you were like, "Oh, what about that?" I was like, "Oh, yeah, I guess that was." It was so brief. It was very minimal.
Well, and she was like it kind of is like he changed his job or joined the thing to like sort of be by her and impress her. So I could see her being around, but I kind of don't see it. I don't really see Connor's activism lasting unless he like changes entirely, and I just don't see that from Connor. Like I feel like Connor like suits too much and like having expensive khakis and expensive polos. So I don't see Connor like giving up that life, you know?
Well, knowing this family, he'll like start his own practice. So, like, how old is he? Like, was supposed to be like, I don't know, how old, 25 or something. And yeah, so knowing this family, since they all just start their own businesses with no problem, I could see that happening with his uncle. They start like their own practice. And anyway, so who knows?
His uncle already has his own practice.
Wasn't there something though that like he had been disgraced or something, or like, but then like then it was, I don't know, there was I forget what was going on with the uncle.
Girl, the uncle comes on the screen, they talk about land trusts, and I fall asleep. I don't know.
Yeah.
Right, Kaycee? You're with me.
I am. That land trust thing, I was like, are we done?
Yeah, right. So yeah, we will see what Connor does next. So we'll be really excited. So there you go. We've talked about everybody. And are we excited about season 3?
Yeah, I'm actually so excited. It may not come off across that way on the show because I'm like, I hate everybody. I wish they wouldn't date anyone that I was on the show. But that's not true. I really do enjoy, I enjoy the characters, especially the children. I say the children, but like, the O'Brien siblings.
The clan.
I think they are all very interesting characters, even if they have boring storylines. And I think the actors all do a very great job, and I believe everything they do, even if I think their character is an idiot. I still believe their choices, which is, one of the main things I need is to feel like I understand that their characters are making a reasonable choice to themselves.
I'm excited just to see more cute scenes. I think they did such a good job with cute little scenes of Kevin and Abby talking, or cute little scenes of
the girls having their ice cream together, the girls on the bench. And I'm excited to see, I feel like Trace and Abby's relationship was a little bit stunted by all of the giant bags they were using to cover her pregnant belly. And so I wonder if that will maybe help the relationship.
Maybe so. Are you excited, Kaycee, for season 3?
I am super excited. I think they'll find their voice this season.
Mm-hmm.
Season 1 was pretty strong. Season 2 was like, oh. Season 3, I think they'll really find it. I'm really excited. Love the cast. I think they all have awesome chemistry with each other. Hoping we have a little more excitement and no boring storylines. Maybe like a love triangle. Maybe some.
We'll look forward to Dylan O'Malley coming and saving the land trust and
as a leprechaun.
Yeah.
It would be honestly, could you even imagine how amazing it would be if Dylan O'Malley shows up and he's like some major villain for like the season 3?
That would be really fun.
It would be so worth it. He shows up and he like is trying to not only buy the land from the land trust out from under them, but he like is trying to like force them off of their family's home, like, and that would be great.
Maybe he's like mixed dad and not the brothers. I mean, that's a little much for Hallmark.
That's not happening on Hallmark.
We can hope for something.
That would be exciting.
I mean, maybe on Hallmark Movies and Mysteries, but not Hallmark.
And then you could find out that they were like, I could see them doing like, oh, they were actually like engaged, but then like she called it off for some reason or whatever. Like
they could maybe Count of Monte Cristo this, where like they were married and then she thought he was dead, so she hurried and married the other guy. Like maybe, but no, no way. They're not doing that to Nell.
I could see there being some kind of shenanigans like that. We will see. But yeah, it should be a lot of fun. I'm really looking forward to it. And I like these kinds of soapy, fun dramas. So it should be good. And we'll look forward to talking about it each week. And we're going to have Lisa on. Sometimes we'll have Kaycee on. Sometimes we're just going to take whoever we can get for the Chesapeake.
We want you to hear as many opinions as possible. Yes. Because if it's just Rachel and I going, I love Trace, well, I hate Trace, it's not going to be fun for anybody.
Yeah, agreed.
I mean, it might be fun for us, but meh.
Yeah, might get a little repetitive week to week. So we're really excited about that. It's going to be a lot of fun. And let us know what you think about the first 2 seasons, about these different characters. Did we totally miss something? Let us know. And let us know in the comment section or on Twitter. We would love to hear your feedback. And so, Kaycee, where can people find you?
You can find me at Hallmark My Words on Twitter.
Great. And we'll have that in the description section. You can check that out. And Amber, where can people find you?
As always, I'm at Amber Brainwaves on Twitter, and that's it.
Great. And you can find me at Rachel's Reviews on iTunes and on YouTube. So make sure to check that out. Really appreciate it. Make sure you're following the podcast at Hallmarkies Pod on all the social media and we're available on all the different streaming apps for podcasting and on YouTube. And please leave in your reviews for us on iTunes. Very helpful for more people to be able to find the podcast. So we really appreciate it so much. And we will talk to you all later. Bye.
Bye, everybody.